Greetings, fencers. So today we're going to go through our second messer. So this is Alex's messer, the Peter Regenyei number 3. And so this is the shorter version. I think you can get this in a longer version as well. And today we'll go through, what makes this messer unique, some of its specifications, what it feels like, and then why you would want something like this or why you wouldn't want something like this. So first thing I'll just say is, when I think of a Langesmesser, looking at manuscript pictures, like this is what I think of. This is, I think, a perfect looking one, comparatively to something like my SGT that's just a rectangle. They look completely different. One very much looks like a long knife. So starting off, it is quite a shorter blade at 60 centimeters, so this is something that's very much under the length of the arm. You will be outranged quite substantially by many other types of long knives and other single-handed weapons. You will have to work hard to try and close distance with something like this, but this is a very nice tool sort of size of a messer that I really don't like wearing stuff on me. I just keep watches in my pocket and stuff, but something like this, I could see myself actually wearing it if I was in a situation where I needed a blade on me. Something like a longsword, I would just get really annoyed having it on me if I was actually carrying it around places. But something like this, one of the reasons why something like this would be so popular is because you can easily wear it and it's not cumbersome. So starting with the blade, quite a thin blade distal wise, but profile wise nice and broad, which is good. It does have the excellent cutout, so this is the part that would generally just be sharpened on a messer, so it's great that it has that. So you are trying to aim specifically with that part in thwart cuts and squinting cuts, etc. And as we get up to the point, you'll see, so this is a messer that does not have a blunted point at all. It's pretty much the only part that makes it safe is just that it's not sharp. So it's really not a safe point at all to be thrusting at people with. Yeah, you definitely need something on that in order to have it safe, and you can't just stick one of the nice rubber blunts on it. The flex is also essentially non-existent. You're not going to ever have it bend on someone, so you can't just be shooting the point to keep someone back as a counter, which Le Hüthner shows that counter for many types of plays. This is something where you have to be very careful doing that. The edge, as you can see, there are some quite significant cutouts on the edge. So there are some really big cutouts. The edge is 2 millimeters most of the way. Coming closer to the tip, it does start tapering down to 1 millimeter and reaching at the point about 1 millimeter. So it is really thin, and this is where we're going to get to, because it's such a thin blade. Oh man, this thing wears down your gear and you as well. So it will slowly get better as the blade gets pushed in and flattened. It's going to get less sharp, and it's not going to get big burrs taken out of it or huge divots taken out. But at the moment, it is something where it's going to rip on clothing. And so your gloves are not going to last very long. But also, because it's such a thin edge, I really like blades. Now we're getting more companies doing it where they put a big fuller in and then have thick edges. And I really like that for safety, because this actually, you noticeably feel impacts to it. The last time I sparred against it, I was wearing a sparring glove, and I still had a bunch of bruises on all of my knuckles from it, because it has such pinpoint impact, because it's such a thin edge that it's just always going to hurt, essentially. Now, part of that is, we're not perfect. Sometimes a heavy bladed messer will commandeer us and hit harder, but many of the hits would have been fine with a thicker edged sword. And also we have the huge problem of it will always get through the plates on a sparring glove. So I got hit on the left hand recently, couldn't use my left hand for a week. Someone has also gotten hit in between the spec heavy from the big spec ball on the hand and the big cuff directly in between. And it's always, something like this is always going to find gaps in your protection to just always hurt. And so it's really important to have a thick edge. So the point of balance on this is only about 2 inches, which is quite light. Most of the time I see messers definitely larger than that, so this leads it to, you do at least get a good amount of control with it. You can move it where you want to, and you generally aren't going to overhit as long as you have good control. And as you can see, you know, with a messer like this, there's more steel at the tip, and so the tip will hit harder than one of these tournament messers, which is, you know, this is more where you're going to be impacting them. So it definitely takes control in the bind significantly and impacts more like a messer. Now the Quillen has been hit multiple times. It is extremely thin where it attaches to the crossguard, so that is something that we're definitely paying attention to. I don't know why it's that thin, but if it's just fighting other messers and not fighting long swords, hopefully it won't get bent through, because at the moment it's still fine. The handle is very much squared. It gets really thin at the cross and gets really thick up at the end. This does lead to, you know, a bit of a different grip for some people if you're not used to it. In general, it feels good. I do find it nice to hold, and I find because it tapers so much inward, your hand slips down less, although it is leather wrapped, so it is reasonably slippery. So that's some of the specifics about this messer. We got this at HEMA Supplies, actually in stock, but it can also be bought directly from Regenyei's website. So why would you want something like this? Well, it represents a messer significantly more than some other types of Langus messers that you can get, some other types of training Langus messers. So you may want to slow down your sparring and have something like this that is very much going to react closer to a messer. It's just a blunt version essentially, with a slightly brought back point of balance. Something like this, the SGT, you're going to be able to hit full speed, thrust full speed, do everything, but it's not going to give you that representation where you want it to feel like a messer. So there are definitely lots of pros to having a messer like this, to really get the feel of what it's going to feel like. But you know, with the edge, the point, it's definitely something that you do have to realize it's going to hurt your gear, and it's going to hurt you and your training partner more often. So it's something that can't be just full speed sparring. But high quality, I would have liked the edge durability to be a little bit better. We have another messer that's our other messer that is also a 2mm edge all the way through. It doesn't have any dents in it, and it's been sparring with that Regenyei. So I think the edge retention could have been better. It looks like it distal tapers quite hard right at the very tip, kind of to a rounded tip instead of a squared. And so I think if that was kept more squared, that would lead to better edge retention and not getting these quite big dents in it that tear. So thanks for watching. Keep studying, keep practicing. Gotta commandeer the autofocus from my face. It's impacting so pinpoint, because it has such pinpoint impact